What's good, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Full Circle. I'm your host, as always, Older Harmon Jr. Please feel free to find me at Older Harmon Jr. on all your favorite social media. Yeah, I made it easy for y'all. It's pretty simple. Well, people, we did it. We survived 2021. It has been quite the rocky road in the virtual and real world alike. But we did it. If you're still here, I thank God you're still here, because some of us didn't make it. So last show of the year, had to do it big. You know how this thing goes. And I had to bring on a new guest for the very first time. Me and this guy, we've been rocking for a while and finally got him on the show. So what better way to do it than to end it all just for this year before, we're back next year and it's a new year. We have Veerender Jubbal. Give it up for him, everybody. Woo! How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. Still on holiday from work, so enjoying that. Trying to ease back into, being productive. But, I'm enjoying myself. But, Veerender, just in case the people at home don't know, who are you and what do you do?
So I am Veerender Jubbal, and I'm a games critic and writer. At the moment, I freelance for a bunch of different sites. I only came back to social media and Twitter this year after a 6-year hiatus because of global harassment and just doxing situations. So I was very active on socials and everything back in 2014, 2015, and I only just came back this year, and I'm trying very hard to be able to put myself out there again as a writer. And I write for a bunch of different sites such as IGN. I wrote for Tom's Guide. I wrote for PC Games N a bit, Nintendo Life. So I'm trying my best to just get around for byline stuff and just any sort of critique and reviews or any coverage at the moment.
Well, all right. In case people know this about the Full Circle fam, but you don't come for the Full Circle fam or just people I know. So, in case they do, we will ride until the ends of the earth. But I am glad you're back. Sucky situations suck, but you're back here still killing the game like you never left. You know what? Oh, I never thought about that. You're one of the few people who use that phrase, I'm back like I never left, because you came back, you're like, boom, right in front of all the big sites.
Right? I had like one thought that was like, my Twitter hiatus lasted longer than the Confederacy. So like I thought that was pretty fucking hilarious.
I mean, allow me to be crude, if you will, but your Twitter hiatus lasted longer than some people's careers. Ho, 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 ho.
Yeah.
We're not here to judge people. We're just stating facts. These are all facts. These things that can be looked up, judged and granted. You know what I'm saying? Just facts, people. Just facts. We're ending the year with facts. We're doing it right. FAX, facts. But as always, we got some great topics for you this week. We are going to be talking about our favorite moments of the year and maybe our not so favorite moments. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be all positivity. Who knows? And our gaming resolutions for 2022. What we're hoping to accomplish, what we're looking forward to play, what we're hoping to do, all that usual stuff. But unlike going to the gym and losing 100 pounds, we'll probably hit these. Which, yes, my goal is to lose 100 pounds. It used to be like 40, but now I've had like 60 pounds added from like just years of COVID nonsense. So I need to get that down. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to start planking every day and eating right. Honestly, it's just eating right. Like my gym habits are somewhat consistent enough to where it's basically my food intake. I just need to get that right. But it's so hard. It's so hard. And I know people. I know once I get there, it's so easy. But let me be. I still love my body, though. It just jiggles a little bit more.
Right? Exactly. I mean, it's all good in general. I mean, I'm not gonna harp on anybody on any sense of that. it's up to everyone to do. And it's winter, and like we also have more variants happening. So I'm not. If someone's like, I'm going to the gym next year, and then they don't at all, it's all good.
It's all good in the neighborhood. Well,
Yeah.
Verinder, I'm gonna start with you. What were some of your favorite moments of 2021 in gaming, or gaming centric, or you know what, favorite moments? Period. You know what? We're just gonna let it be. Be free with your opinion, sir.
Um, well, like I guess it would be more in general. So I came back to Twitter. People were pretty supportive of that and pretty hyped about that, surprisingly. I honestly didn't even know how to go about coming back because when so much just harassment and like world life-changing shit happens to you, you want to be able to come back, but then you feel obligated to like explain the entire situation to people. But I kind of just like after 6 years, I kind of came back. I haven't like physically, I haven't aged. Like I still look like a teenager, face wise. I had a client this year who was asking me because I work with family for some security guard, not security guard, like for security windows and fabrication, because jewelry stores to cell phone stores, everyone needs like gates or that sort of thing. And I had a client ask me how old I was, and I'm so hesitant to answer that sort of question. Like I just like took off my mask a bit, and they're like, "Oh, you look 20, not older than 24." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll take that perfectly." So, I definitely, one of my favorite moments of this year was people being very supportive and empathetic of me coming back on social media. Um, People set 6 7 years ago were very like glad I came back, and I I don't have the words for the support in regards to that. I'm glad people still remembered who I was and who I am, or if I made any sort of, I guess, impact, any positive impact, then I was more than glad that people were very empathetic and very helping and aiding this year, because I've been trying hard to get writing and published here and there. And in just the first year, I've written for major publications, um, with no experience before that. So it's a lot, but it's a lot in like a phenomenal sense. And so that's definitely like people's support of me specifically is definitely the biggest, foremost first part that I put forward as definitely one of the best things of this year for myself.
Man, that is what is up. You know, I said it a lot. Just one of the few times, like I mean it with my chest. It's like, damn, that's what's up. Like, y'all can't. We're not recording our visuals this episode. In case y'all like, I don't know who even watches this on YouTube. Most like thousands of people listen to this on the app, but I just want to let y'all know I'm nodding my head in approval. It's like one of them soulful nods, like one of those nods when you see something on the street and then you see a perfect stranger and y'all lock eyes, y'all give each other that nod. That's the nod I'm doing. Man, that is amazing, honestly. And it's funny because some of my favorite moments of this year only happened in the last month or two. So I got a big piece published at Kotaku. That was cool. I got
Yeah, that's cute.
yeah, I got my first official full-time gaming job with Stride PR. I'm in gaming PR, people. Whoop whoop. which all both happened in the last 2 months. For those loyal listeners of the show, you know all about that. People were scared the show wasn't coming back because I disappeared for 2 weeks without any announcement of the show or why we were gone. But one, it was because of Thanksgiving. Two, is because I was getting the job and not negotiating, but I was seeing what I could and couldn't do in the gaming space. And the
Yeah.
podcast was a question mark at the time, so I didn't want to be like, oh, no show this week to no show period So I was like, I'll just make an announcement, once I know where the show is headed. But it's still here. So yay for that.
Yeah, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and what else? What else? So one thing that's actually returning soon is we're gonna do Pokemon Month version 2. We had the first ever Pokemon Month this February for the 25th anniversary, where I had major Pokemon players from the industry on every week, except 1 week in February because that's Texas froze over. Not my fault, people. Not my fault. The grid went down. It was a whole mess here in Houston and other parts of Texas. But so I had Brian from Game Informer. I had Casey from IGN. I had Callie, formerly from GameSpot, now at Nintendo itself. And it was just a great time. Just all talking about Pokemon. We talked about so many aspects of it and geeked out together, and it was just a ball. So I'm working on version 2, people. It's coming in February. We're gonna have some new Pokemon All-Stars around the industry. I'm locking it in as we speak, so hopefully I can have some surprise guests for you. No, we're not gonna have Miyamoto or nobody. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Eventually,
But yeah, Pokemon Month this year, 2021 was awesome. Getting a job was awesome. Getting an article published was awesome. We got Metroid Dread, which was awesome. That was one of the few gaming surprises of the year. What I mean by gaming surprise, like a game you didn't know was actually coming out, but then still came out within that year. Because man, how often does that even happen in today's world?
Yeah, they announced it, and then it was like it's coming out in a few months, and everyone was like, "What? Oh, like they're that far along already?"
Yeah, man, it was so wild. I think that would probably be my biggest announcement of 2021. Like, I mean, I'm sure on paper, if I think about it, there were bigger announcements. But that was an announcement and a turnaround. Like that just doesn't happen. I guess Sora and Smash, that was pretty big. Everyone geeked out for that. That was cool. It Takes Two won a Game of the Year award, which that was peculiar. But hey, man, people have opinions. People are allowed to have opinions. Sometimes,
huh? Did you think Metroid should have won?
No, you know what? Literally, if I was a betting man, I would have bet on any other game except that one. Every game in my mind had a chance except for It Takes Two and Resident Evil 7 Village. Not because Resident Evil 7 Village didn't deserve to be there, but just generally, rule of thumb, I feel like scary games would never win. Like a true blue horror game. Like Returnal, like it's horror, but it's horror light. But like a pure horror game, I could just never see winning Game of the Year unless it just you have your Resident Evil 4s, but people would argue that's like an action game and not less.
Oh.
But I digress. Just general rule of thumb, be like like a kart racer, like even if it deserved to be there, probably wouldn't win just because of the nature of its genre. So I was like, Resident Evil probably won't win. It Takes Two's not gonna win. This is gonna come down to Psychonauts 2, Metroid Dread, Returnal, Ratchet, and pretty much all the other games on the list, and it was just like It Takes Two, and I was like, oh man, I would have lost some money. But hey, if you enjoyed It Takes Two, which I will say, that game's a lot better than I thought. Like, I remember scuffing at it at its first showing. I was like, and people were like, whoa, It Takes Two is gonna be the best thing ever. And I'm like, yeah, okay, calm down now. And then I played it with my friend, and it was so funny. This is gonna sound horrible, but I grew up with a single mother. My friend, he grew up with his stepfather, and so like the divorcee story was not hitting for us. It was like hilariously bad from our perspective. Like, oh no, mommy and daddy had a singular fight. Oh no, they might not be compatible. Oh my god, we were like, what's gonna happen? They're gonna work through their problems in this. It was just highly predictable from that stance, and we might have had opinions on how they're going about it. But I understand for some people, divorce can be scary and rock a little child's world. It was just a little PBS special in It Takes Two. That's all I'm saying.
I actually don't know anything about the game except that it's a co-op game. That's as far as I know. I saw maybe a few screenshots here and there. I had a friend who wanted me to play with them, and I was like, I can't. I have to play work games, so I didn't get a chance to play it.
Oh, yeah, it unfortunately just has to be played with another person. And I had a friend who
Yeah.
had a PS5, and where he was like, "Man, you have a PS5, I have a PS5. When's the last time we co-op together?" But it really is a fun co-op game. It's probably the most fun I've had co-op in like damn near a decade, and it does get better. It gets surprisingly good gameplay wise. Story not so much. Story's a little campy for me personally, but it was like, yeah, it was a fun time. It was one of those games like I'm like, yeah, it's fun. I recommend it. It's fun, but not. I don't know if it's game of the year contender. Like best co-op game of the year, sure. Best game of the year, I don't know about that, fam. Don't know about that.
Mm.
But I guess I don't know. Is that all my favorite moments of the year? Okay, I'm gonna throw a bad moment of the year. What was a bad moment? Just to keep it balanced here, keep the yin and yang going. What was one of the craziest moments of the year? I don't know. Delays. I'm just gonna say delays.
Yeah, I guess like this year and even like the past few years, I think delays were like, I think more people are more fine with it. Like we can see in a more larger threshold that people are like, yeah, like what are you gonna do? People are working from home. A lot of games are coming out from just folks just working from home, or studios are just completely working from home and shipping games, and I think that's like, it's like wow.
Yeah, that was such a cop out answer because I was trying to think what game did I want to play really bad that got delayed, and I was like, I couldn't even think of one. I was like, God of War doesn't have a release date. Uh,
Right.
I Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West Dawn, Alloy 2, whatever. That wasn't gonna be a day one for me anyway. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe nothing really bad happened for me. I mean, bad stuff happened. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, Blizzard Activision finally got their comeuppance after like years of not getting their comeuppance. But it's not even like a bad thing. Like it's a bad and good thing. It's like, man,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like so they seem to got wrote off. So I mean, hey man, you make the bed you lie in. So
Right. No, like yeah, I feel the same way when like, so like when I find out like someone got divorced, I'm like super happy for them. Like that's a good thing. That's not like like you and somebody else figured out in whatever way, you're not compatible anymore, or you want to move on. And like in that similar sense to like, there were so many walkouts this year. There was just like a lot of donations for Blizzard and Activision employees, and it was actually taking much more seriously. The reports and investigations were definitely like very. I know a lot of people didn't read them because like they were very intense. Some of them. There was one story about how like dudes were stealing breast milk from developers working at, like, it's just like it's just so egregious and just like just wild through on through if you're just reading as an onlooker about like all this industry stuff that's happening.
some people need Jesus, but some people just need a good old fashioned butt whipping. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. You know, red pill, blue pill. Oh yeah, the Matrix came out.
Yeah, did you watch that?
I did. I give it a 6. I gave it a 6 in
Okay.
mine. My thing is like, because my thing was, it fundamentally a movie? Did it have a plot? Did it tell a story? Did it have a beginning, middle, and end? And I'm like,
Right.
yes. Now everything outside of that, I have some qualms about. But I mean, hey, it's with these continuations and or one-offs from a franchise, I'm already skeptical. I feel like they can only be so good. Like at their best, they're already starting at a 7, and they can only go down from there. If I was being cynical, I could probably knock that 6 down to a 5. But hey,
Yeah.
I've seen worse movies. Let me put it like that.
Yeah, you can tell it was filmed very differently too, because of course, it's like, they can only get a few people together in a room, and then those people have to be vaccinated, and like it just changes the entire scope and vision as well. And sometimes that can work very well, but again, that's like the movie industry just I see like with Spider-Man, like Disney's just forcing people to just like basically go back to the theater, and it's like, are you like, come on, right? Like that's so excessive. Like you very much could have just released Spider-Man at home as well, and that would have just been a better situation.
I'm like, or at least do the delayed release. It's exclusively in movies for like 2 months, so the people who want to see it that way, and then it hits Disney Plus like 3 months or after later, because then it's just like, all
Yeah.
right, like Encanto was out for 2 or 3 months, but and it hit Disney Plus Christmas Eve. Shout out to
Hmm.
Encanto. Shout out to my Afro Latinos. I'm not Afro Latino. I'm just shouting y'all out.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. I heard mixed things here and there, but I heard the soundtrack and stuff is very phenomenal, and it's very nice to see like a full on like big budget with that sort of representation, both behind the screen as well.
Yeah, I guess I have one of those mixed opinions, but it's not a bad one.
Sure.
I think it's a good movie overall. I give it like 8.5, and that's only because the movie starts off a little weak in my opinion. I won't go into like, I think the opening number for a Disney movie. Remember, I'm comparing this to
Yeah.
Disney to Disney in terms of, because I feel like your opening number has to be like in the gut good.
Yeah.
And I feel like their
Yeah. For
opening number
sure.
was like, it's cool. It checked the boxes, and that's where it stopped. But
Right.
unlike some of the other movies, the movie starts off weak, but consistently keeps getting better. Which, in my mind,
Mm.
I'd rather have that than a movie that starts off strong, gets kind of weak, and just kind of barely sticks to the landing. But no, this movie, I was like, in the first act, I'm like, I don't know, damn, why'd y'all have to make it bad? Like 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 but then the second act, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're grooving, and then the third act just brings it on home and home runs it out the park. So I was like, all right,
Mm.
cool. So like, to me, if the first act was stronger, it would have been an instant 9.5, maybe a 10. But to me, the first act was a little weak. But hey, if one of the acts has to be weak, it's better, in my opinion. It's better to have the first one be the weakest one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
go.
haven't seen. Sorry,
Oh no,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to say. Okay, I haven't seen any of the recent big franchise, not franchise, big single films they released on Disney Plus recently. Because I know Soul was like the last one as well. I didn't watch
Luca.
that either. Luca, yeah, right, yeah. But I'm hearing like great things about those.
Oh yeah, Luca
Like,
is it's a home run hit right there.
nice.
Hey, I don't know how many people noticed, but Disney made a statement a few years back. I can't remember the exact year, but you could Google it, and they said they had a new vision. I don't know if this was Disney Pixar or just Disney, because I'm confused about which one is which sometimes. But
Hmm.
they said their goal was to start telling worldwide stories, aka
Right.
non-white stories. I'm just gonna be blunt here. I'm not gonna use the flowery
Yeah.
language. They wanted to start telling stories from around the world that weren't traditionally told. And the start of this was your Coco and Moana's. Like, Coco and
Yeah.
Moana were like the first part of this initiative. So you had Moana, you had Coco, you have Luca, you have Encanto, you have I feel like I'm forgetting one. I feel like I'm forgetting, like,
Soul.
oh, Soul. There you go. I feel like I'm forgetting one. Yeah, you have Soul, and these movies are just them staying true to their word and promise. And like, I'm happy because, like, lo and behold, Moana is great, Coco is great, Soul is great, Luca is great,
Yeah.
Encanto is
Yeah.
great, and it's like, well, who would have thought that stories that were in traditional your Western European traditional stories could actually hit and resonate and be phenomenal? Who would have thought, right? These different
Yeah.
these different locales and stories and people. Oh, and Red, Turning Red, coming up soon, which
Yeah, that's
looks
set in
great.
Toronto. Yeah. I thought that looked very interesting as well. It's set in Toronto, and
the early
That's
two
nice.
thousands.
Right, yeah.
Centered around Canadian Chinese family. And
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, look at that. Our world is full of 7 different billion people with cultures and whatnot. And, you love to see it.
Yeah.
And
I
the,
think it's pretty funny that like it's set in like actually Toronto because like a lot of big budget titles and films they do film in Toronto constantly, but then they're like setting wise it's in Chicago or it's somewhere, it's in New York, but like you see that they actually filmed in like Toronto or Vancouver and it's like okay.
so yeah, and so I'm just happy Disney's doing it because all these movies have been great. And of course, when you get like Luca was done. Forgive my name. I didn't prepare for video game talk, but Luca was actually done by an Italian director, and it shows. And it's like, yeah, man, get that out there because I'm gonna be frank. Frozen is not a good movie. I get insulted every when someone's like, Frozen is
Wow.
like, second to Lion King, and I'm like, you shut your mouth. Like, I will not
Oh
take
my
this blasphemy because Frozen has a lot of holes in the plot. Like it plays like a movie that had two different directors. And
yeah.
Frozen 2, I'm like, bro, Frozen 2 has 5 plots and only 2 of them actually come to an end.
With the first Frozen, people should know that like the way they set it up is like Elsa's supposed to be a villain, and you can see that like up until the moment she runs away on the water, and you can see the tone that they're going for. But then after that, it's a completely different. But you're right, like it's as if like two different visions happening because like on the outset they did make like Elsa like this big bad villain, and then but then Disney also marketed it as like a double date story if you look at their promotional material. So there's definitely some issues there in regards to like having like one vision. And yeah.
I mean, look at Let It Go. Let It Go is literally a villainous song. It's
100%.
literally like they can freeze to death. I don't care. The cold don't bother me anyway because I'm the evil ice queen. It's not. It is. I mean, yes, they try to market it as her empowerment song. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, lyrically, it is not.
Yeah, it is. You can see right then and there like which parts they made first and what parts they made around that. And I actually like Frozen 2 only because, Elsa gets more focus. Because in the first one, after the whole like semi villain is sort of like run ish situation, then it looks like she's gonna be the big bad to quote unquote defeat in some sense. But then, then it's just an honest story right after that.
Oh, see this. See, so again, remember I said Frozen 2 to me is like 5 different storylines. Like
Hmm.
that. So in that way, I like some storylines. Like Elsa's storyline is fine, but like
Hmm.
I'm because I rewatch when I only seen it twice. So I rewatched. I'm like Elsa's storyline is almost a different movie. Like everything she is doing has no impact or effect on anything else in the
Right.
movie until like right at the end when you get the big reveal that
Yeah.
you kind of see coming. And then you have like Anna's storyline, which is kind of just all over the place.
Yeah.
And then you have not Spin. What's the guy's name?
Right. They tried to do some like interesting like colonialism like narrative
Oh,
there.
that's my biggest issue with the movie. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but it's
Yeah.
like they introduce these people, they introduce the storyline, and then literally forget they exist until the very end of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, like it was interesting because okay, I haven't seen it for quite a while, but the way they very much the thesis that it ends on, if I remember correctly, is that you know the people of today have to take account and be accountable for like ancestors and people in the past to like actually try and work towards like a better situation for marginalized people today. And that thesis was very good, but again, like you said, there's like there's a lot just going on.
Yeah, it's just so welcome to my spinoff podcast. That's a surprise of this year called Disney Talk, where we talk Disney all the time until the mouse shuts us down.
God.
but yeah, Frozen 2. It is like this. Frozen. I think Frozen 2 is better than Frozen 1, but based off everything you've heard me say about Frozen 1, that's probably not the biggest compliment. But what I'm hearing is you should watch Luca over the break at some point. It is a delightful movie, and it was funny because it's just like streaming's so weird because like once you have access to do it at any time, it's almost like you don't want to because you can do it at any time. But yeah, it was cool. But resolutions, gaming resolutions.
Yeah, we keep talking about films or
video games. The thing this podcast is apparently about sometimes. Apparently not. Honestly, to be fair, when this podcast first started, I presented it as a geek centric podcast, as in like video games, anime, videos, video games, anime, and, just anything geek related, quote unquote, whatever that meant. But clearly, it was always meant to just be a video game podcast. I guess I was just trying to, so I'm like, you know what? According to our original marketing, what we just talked about is on brand.
Yeah, okay.
We just came full circle.
Because I could also just talk about anime too, because I've been watching so much anime this year. Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna have an anime episode because we used to talk about anime at least once a month, and now that's kind of went out the window because there's so much happening in games. So I do have if not in January, definitely March, because February is Pokemon month, where I am gonna have a anime specific episode. Not today. Not today. I will say this: go read Demon Slayer. You know why? Because Demon Slayer is only like 250 chapters. You can read it. You can read it like 5 times over before this new season ends. I promise. That's how short it is. You will cry. You will cry a lot.
Oh, it's so good. I haven't read it, but I've watched it, and I still have to watch Mugen Train though.
Oh my god, no! You have to read it. Watch Mugen Train. I can't talk about anything. Watch Mugen Train. It's good. Watch new season. Also, I recommend reading it because it's so phenomenal. Like, here's a fun story. I was at work one day. I didn't have nothing to do, so I was killing time. I was reading it on the side, and I legit had to like keep myself together because I was about to be bawling at work. Like, and I tried to stop reading because like some heavy stuff was going on, and like I had to excuse myself and literally stop myself from reading because too much was going on. Like once I started physically gasping, like I was like, okay, no, I can't do this at work. This is our work activity.
I mean, crying at work, that's more believable than you think.
No, correction. Being emotionally compromised at work. Crying, believable. But like, it's like, Odell, so how's the projections look? Dude, that doesn't look like I give a damn about projections. Yeah, it was a good but bad day for work at me. And like one of my coworkers saw me, and like you could tell they wanted to ask, but like they probably think like one of my relatives died or something. And I was like, no, I'm just reading manga instead of working. Oh man. All right. You know what? Gaming resolution. You know what I want to video games, damn it. Why do you keep doing this to me? So I want to be an amazing PR dude, do all the PR stuff. There's already a couple of trips I got planned for the first part of the year. Gotta go, do some stuff for some clients and whatnot. And so go do some shows. I should be, if everything stays the same and the world doesn't blow up, I'll probably be at GDC this year doing some stuff. So if you're there, say hi to me. But yeah, I really want to really, I take video games seriously, everything I do. So I really want to master the PR role. Be good to people, both big and small, because as someone who's been there, I want to help anyone as I can. And I've learned this year after taking my job, I've learned some things that I honestly took for granted, and I want to be better about that because for as long as I can remember, I've always been on PR lists and I've gotten emails, and I think that's because I've been to the E3s and Game Cons and TGSs of the world, and after years of just moving around in those spaces, my email ends up on God knows how many lists, from parties and events and what have you. And and working in PR, and just talking to people and trying to, get people, things I can do from the PR side. I realized a lot of people, some of the opportunities and things that I took for granted, like going to events or just having and press releases, a lot of people never have. A lot of people who I would consider successful in the freelance space and things. And I was like, man, I thought y'all on time. Like, I get like 80,000 emails a day. Not really. It's more like 80, but that's still a lot. But so I'm just like, man, I really want to, now that I've quote unquote started my professional journey in a full time, because I want to, slow down, be more appreciative, reflect on the journey, and then help anyone I can in the best way I can. Either that's from just being on the PR side and just knowing how things works, and also just being a hustler for over a decade. It still amazes me when people are like, "I've never been to a PAX until I got a job." I'm like, "How? I've been to like 30. What did you do?" And they're like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "I jumped the fence." Only like one time, people. One time, just one time. You gotta do what you gotta do. But the other times, I got in through, the right channels.
Right. Yeah,
And
it's just so different for everybody. About, like, obviously for marginalized folks, especially people of color in the industry, we gotta, like, if you're in any position of power, like how you know when people have helped you and aided you when weren't that big up in any sense, when you had a small following, or not many people read your work or looked at your work, sort of thing. So I try my best to do that as well, so it's phenomenal that you are doing that too.
yeah, and I really want to play more games, because I feel like in the past 2 years I didn't play as many games as I wanted to, because a lot of people don't know, when you're trying to make it, you there's a certain level of, you have to be caught up on the games that are being talked about, not necessarily the games you want to play. And
Yeah.
sometimes that leaves a lot of games on the sideline that either I didn't play, or B, I didn't play like I wanted to, because I was trying to look for angles or things to get me out there. But now that I don't kind of have to worry about those things, I really want to play more games, just because, one, I don't have to worry about that aspect, but two, I feel like, so a fun fact about me is just, when gaming is such a big part of my life and want to make it, there's, in my free time, I stopped playing games like I used to, because I kind of mentally just wanted to be away from games. Where,
Yeah.
but now I'm like, I think I can retake my free time and be like, yeah, I can just play a game, and I don't have to worry about not making it or nothing. So yeah, I'm gonna do that thing where people start on Twitter like, the games I beat this year, I want to try to hit like 50 or something, something
Right.
reasonable. I'm not about to play like 80 games in a year. People who do that, I'm like, you're lying. You're emulating. You're doing something. I don't know, something funny's going on here. I'm pretty sure they do it, but I'm just like, bruh, go you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my game in New Year. Be awesome PR guy, be more reflective and kind to myself, and play more video games.
Very nice.
What about you, sir?
I want to also just play games that are not work related. I've just been playing. I put like 200 hours into New World. That was all work related. I put more than like 300 for Pokemon Unite, but that was work related as well. And then like any games I reviewed this year, those are all work. And it's like it's awesome, and I'm really in such an amazing position to be able to do that. But then of course, when you're playing a game for work, you're playing a game for fun or in your free time, they're vastly different experiences. Like,
Oh, for
you don't have
sure.
yeah, you don't have to like be doing screenshots and stuff. So I'm playing Loop Hero at the moment. I don't even know if that released this year or not, but like it's like my one fun game. I started Dark Souls this year because I got a new PC. That was a big thing, but I bought it for New World work. But then I've been playing here and there of just like some like indie games that I haven't played before, or I'm playing Halo Infinite so much. I play ranked on there. I think it's phenomenal. I haven't played Halo since like the last two or three iterations. Like a decade ago, I went to the midnight launch for Reach, so I've been out since like Reach days. Um, but yeah, I want to play more non-work related games because it's a different experience for sure. And um I feel like I've been watching a lot of anime just to like be like, oh, I don't have to like I'm not writing about anime at the moment, but if so it's nice to my big goal is to just do that, get more bylines for sure for more gaming publications. I'm almost at 10, so just like like two or three more, that would be good, and that's like gaming related too. um but yeah, I want to play more, actually beat more like story games, some JRPGs. I want to try Final Fantasy VII remake because now it's on PC. So I've been wanting to play that for a while, but I also like know I'm gonna write like a long essay on his race and racism themes. But I can try to play it like a work related and not work related at the same time.
Oh no, I feel you. It's funny because in my article I wrote on Kotaku about Deathloop, I referenced Barrett for reasons for the article, and people came
Yeah,
at my head, and it was funny because one, I'm talking about the original because the remake is a remake, and
yeah,
clearly everyone knows at this point it's A to Z different. Its core is the same, but it's 100% different game, and I'm like, bruh, I'm not talking about Barrett in the remake, which I
yeah,
probably could, but he's actually a pretty okay person. This is not the Barrett we got back in 1997 or 8. When
yeah.
did Final Fantasy 7 originally come out? I said 1997, but I feel like, am I
I
saying that
think,
because it's Final Fantasy 7?
yeah, yeah, I think 1998 must have been for U.S. release, North American release. I think I'm definitely wrong. I never played it,
It came
but
out before the 2000. It wasn't like 19. It was like 7 or 8, somewhere in there. The point is, I was referring to him. Also, I didn't know there were so many Barrett stands out there, but I digress. Yeah, so I'm glad you're gonna get to play it. I think it's a phenomenal game, like in the sense that I personally am not a fan of when a game takes, like, we're remaking a game, but we're remaking it kind of from a new creative freedom standpoint. I'm kind of a
yeah.
purist in the sense that, like, when I want to remake, I just want it up res. Like okay, Crash the Insane Trilogy is a good example of how I like my remakes.
Oh,
Like
okay, so like
like
Spyro as well.
yeah, like Spyro. And if it's done well, which this is tricky, like the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake, where it's not fundamentally the
Mm,
same game, but it's fundamentally the same game in the modern era. But that's a tricky line to toe and get right. Like, that's
yeah,
extremely hard to do. So I like to err on the side of caution and get, like, your Crash Insane Trilogy, the Spyro one. I don't, because I'm like, if you're gonna give me a up res version, like, like a collection, like, let's say like the Jack and Daxter collection, where it's basically just a PS2 game with just
right.
1080p. It's like, but I'm cool
Yeah.
with it because it gives you a modern way to play a game that you'll need a PS2 for.
I mean, God of War is doing that. Like God of War has been like that's a whole different flavor and how God of War is now, like rather than just super button mashy from before.
Yeah, and I would consider, it's a continuation. That's more, an
Yeah,
evolution of a series. Oh, Diamond and Pearl
right.
is actually a pretty good remake. Where it looks different. It's a new engine and stuff, but still more or less the same game. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a purist. So when I saw Final Fantasy VII remake and like part one, I was just like, ugh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be ugh.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
really did take a. they took so much freedom that I can't consider it the same game, but it's still
No,
well
not at all.
done. Yeah, it's still well
Yeah,
done. Cause
because like,
I played through it. I played through it again on the hard mode. So I was like, and I
mm,
rarely, 100+ hour game again on hard mode. Oh yeah, you got to be something special to make me do that.
yeah, yeah, because it's like that part. Part one is like maybe it's like 40 to 50 hours, but originally in the original game, that part was like that whole section was maybe like 5 hours tops. Like they really stretched it out, but they didn't stretch it out to make it feel like they're just adding like bloat into it. They added like it's a completely vastly different experience.
Yeah, it's just yeah, it really is. So shout out to you PC gamers. I hope it works. You know what? 2021 was not kind to PC gamers. There were so many AAA titles that were on PC that apparently did not work. I don't PC
Oh
game,
god.
so I don't know, but I just kept seeing the stories about insert game here having trouble on that switch to PC. I was like,
Oh.
poor Master Race. Oh man, like I had a friend of mine, he got like Deathloop and some other games I can't remember, and they were performing poorly on PC. I can't think of all the ones that were having trouble this year, but he actually went and got a digital PS5. I'm not saying he was anti console, but he was pretty much anti consoles. So for him to do that, I was like, oh boy, oh man, that must be a big bad takeaway for PC. But hey, I'm all about that console gaming, and like I told him, we can play games together finally.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff, good stuff. So I guess what are you looking for? What's that generic thing you're looking forward to most for next year? Game, thing,
Uh,
etc.
I want I want more games to do card games. That would be cool. I know card like I think it was what's I can't remember what the game's called. It's a shooter that when you move, the enemies move as well. Oh god, I can't remember the name, but I want more games to delve into doing card game stuff. I want like less heavy daily games to happen because it's like you turn on this game and you do the daily challenges and then you're like done for the like. I honestly don't have anything specific I'm looking forward to when I think about it next year. Um, yeah, there's I think Chocobo Racing maybe that looks fun, but like outside of that, I don't think there's anything I'm looking forward to in any sense. I want to play more stuff on my PC. Um, that's about and check out any interesting indie games or mobile games coming. And just I guess continue playing my gotcha games on my phone, and that's about it really. I wanna not video games, but I wanna like card tournaments started opening up recently, so I wanna like go more to locals, but like that's about it outside of that. But everything I wanna play is like 5 or 6 years old or even more than that, but it's all on PC now, and I even ordered an Xbox controller, so I'm like ready to just play whatever.
I like
Yeah.
that. He's like, bro, I got an Xbox controller and I'm trying to use that thing. I did not buy it not to use it. I feel that though. Now that you're talking about like IRL things, I've always wanted to enter more like a Smash and or Pokemon tournaments, but as an adult,
Yeah.
they're hard because it's like come to Dallas on a random
Oh,
Tuesday, and I'm like, but why though? Like, why is this on a random
right.
Tuesday? They're never on the weekend. These meetups or like where you get the official points and stuff. They're always like middle of the week, and like yeah, Tuesday from like 9 to 9:15, and only those 15 minutes. Or
Yeah.
something it's not that ridiculous, but it's not that far off either.
Yeah, no, it's always like weekday stuff or like Thursday or something, and I'm like, oh god, like It's always like tough to get to. My card tournament thing, my locals thing is on Saturdays, but it's only for that card game. But like for Dragon Ball Z or like for Pokemon, it's just like it's always on weekdays, and it's like
Why though? Can, can,
why?
can we have a bracket for working adults, please?
Honestly.
I think my most anticipated game right now, I really like counting Pokemon Arceus because I don't know, it's like in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm just gonna have that. But it's a minute, the little Dark Souls game where you play this little Zelda looking fox. Only because I played this game at PAX for so long and done some developer interviews. I'm just like, I want this game. I'm tired of this game teasing me. I need to play it.
Yeah, I love games like that. Like this year we got Death's Door, which is similar, I would say. Like a lot of like roguelike action adventure stuff is always like super cool.
Hey, we do not use the R word on this show.
I apologize.
It's like for real, like my most hated genre of all time. I don't know why. I just do not jive with it. So we do not use that word here.
Damn.
I mean, I let you have gotcha games. I let you make it, but now you're insulting me with roguelike. Oh, sir. I invite you on my show, and this is how you treat me.
I mean, the gotcha games I don't play are also like I know a lot of people are into Genshin Impact, and I'm waiting for that to come on Switch. I feel like on PC it just won't do it justice, personally, because it looks like it needs to be played with a controller, but then I have a controller now, and I'm like, I don't know. I see people who spent like hundreds of dollars on that, and like industry folks who have, and I'm like, is that gonna be me? Like, or I know Final Fantasy Endwalker came, and I don't play Final Fantasy at all at the moment, but Endwalker's huge. Everybody who's played it is like gushing it hard.
Yeah, it's definitely, so I always find it funny because I think I have like a superhuman video game ability to where if I'm introduced to the game before it takes off and I say this game is trash or bad or won't take off, it's immediately gonna take off. So I had a friend who was he was like, hey, do you have a PlayStation? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh man, this game Genshin Impact is free to play. You gotta play it. I don't have no one to play with me, which clearly wouldn't be the truth now. I mean, you got like hundreds of millions of people, or I don't know how many people are playing.
Yeah,
and I played for maybe like 2 hours. And first of all, I think I actually downloaded. Yeah, I downloaded it on the PS4, and like I played for 2 hours, and I was like, bruh, what is this? What is this? This like. So I already have some bias when a game's free to play. So I'm always like, they got to get you somehow.
Yeah.
But this wasn't like Apex Legends or something like that. I'm like, man, this seems like a lot of grinding. And I was
it is.
And I was just like, a lot of grinding for what at the time I felt like was not enough reward or purpose, because I'm like, it's like an MMO, but it's not. So I was like, there's no real end point. At least an MMO, like I want to get into Final Fantasy 14, like I really do. Like so many people are playing it, but I'm just like,
right.
I don't know if I'm ready for the MMO lifestyle. I just don't know if I'm ready.
I mean, the only one I played was for New World, and it was for work, and it just takes it. It's a lot to put into a game, for sure. Like I put in like 1,500 hours into Warframe, which is not an MMO, but it's like third person, and you play online with people and this and that. But yeah, because if you go into Final Fantasy 14, then you're gonna have to go into it for the long haul. You can't just like then there's no point, right? Then it's better to just play single player games.
Yeah. So I kind of, and this was the time to do it. I'm on break, but now I only got 1 week left. So I'm like, dang, I think I waited too long to try Endwalker or whatever the starting point is at this point for 14. I don't know, but
that's okay. They said no more people can play because the servers are too full.
Oh, well, there we go. Problem solved. Darn. But
Yeah. So Square Enix put every other game of theirs on sale, and it was like, go play our other games. We don't want you playing this one.
but Genshin Impact, I was just like, bro, this isn't gonna take off. This is like, I rarely use the term weeb, but I was like, this is really some weeb stuff. This is like some, like, I sleep with a body pillow. Not that that's wrong, because I would buy a Tally Zora body pillow in a heartbeat. Love you, Tally. But this is like some body pillow s stuff, and then next thing I know, it's like everybody and their mom was playing it. I'm just like, well, I was wrong. That's on me.
Right.
Oh man, Tally Zora. I played Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition. That was my first time with Mass Effect ever. Like I played 0 minutes of that game prior, because it started to come out right at my graduation of high school, going into college, and it was like, I still gamed in college, but let's be real. There's certain gaming habits that could not survive in college. So I was like, well, I didn't play 1. Well, I can't play 2 if all your choices matter, and then 3 came out. Like it, so I just missed it. I just missed it from A to Z. So this has been my first experience with it, and I get it. I fell in love with it. Like I really did. I fell for it hard. Don't even ask me why. Like part one was like, yeah, okay, but like, yeah. Anyway, Tally's my girl. Like Liara.
Nice.
I got nothing against you, Liara stands, but I mean, y'all missing out.
I only played and beat the first one, and that was like more than a decade ago. So that's about it. I don't have any interest to play that. Those sort of games they're just big space operas, which is I don't know. I heard like 2 and 3 are just like long. It's like if I'm gonna play something like Skyrim, like it's just so daunting. Like yeah, it's a single player experience, but it can go for hundreds of hours, and I want to play JRPGs.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Honestly, it's the characters in the story. It's like one of those things. Like, yeah, I'm shooting stuff, but I'm really just trying to go ask someone 1,000 questions and see what the dialogue options are. Like,
Right.
it was good. I know some people don't like it, but I was like, considering. Let me put it like this: that game came out well over what it seems like a decade ago.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any games do it better since. So there's that.
Damn.
And this is looking at it retroactively, so I'm not looking at it through rose-colored glasses. 2021 was my first experience with it, so
Yeah. Very cool.
yeah. But yeah, that's the year. But man, I just want to thank you for joining me. This has been a fun show. This has been a fun end of the year semi-movie critique.
No, thank you very much for inviting me. I know like we've known each other for it's coming up 8 years by now. So it's nice that we got like I'm glad I freed my schedule to come here for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, and I know you are a busy man, as you said. But Veerender, real quick, I mean, where can the people follow you respectfully and keep up with you, and just see your work?
You can just follow me on Twitter at Veeren_Jubbal. So that's VEEREN_JUBBAL. Or you could just Google me and you'll find me very easily. But publication wise, I'm all over, but I do link and I do like retweet my work constantly on Twitter, so that's definitely the best place to find me at Veeren_Jubbal. I'm always down to play video games, especially competitive ranked ones. So even if we're not mutuals, we can always just play Halo or something else. That's always fun. Yeah. So I'll be around on different publications. There's like some more surprises on that, some more bylines that I got accepted for, which will probably have to be for next year, but you'll see me at more stuff, hopefully. And just get at me on Twitter for whatever.
All right, man. Well, that's what's up. Please do that. Support. And as always, you can find me at Harmon Jr. You can find the show at FC Podcast 23 on Instagram. and Twitter, and there's Patreon information description below. For all that. Shout out to all my Patreons. Thank y'all for rocking with me this year. Shout out to the ones that were on the show this year. And to all my Patreons, if you're on that tier list and want to be on the show, just let me know and I'll bring you on a week and we'll have a good time. So everyone is done. We're out. Last show of the year. Time to wash our hands, pop the bubbly, countdown in about 18 different time zones, and
Right.
just be thankful, because as the last 2 years have showed us, not all of us made it, like worldwide, globally, so
it's a lot.
so just be thankful for every day. And as always, have a great week and be blessed. Peace.